What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. As you can see from the title of this video, I will be talking about a couple of different scenes from an older season 1 episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. The first one is a heart-to-heart that Melody is having with her mom, Miss Van. And then we will also see Martell having a quote-unquote therapy session with the great Dr. Francis. Now, before we get into these scenes, I ask that you all please hit the like button on this video. You hear us content creators ask, because it really does make the difference. YouTube will then recommend this video to more people who enjoy the conversation surrounding Love and Marriage Huntsville. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I am actually out of town right now. At the moment of making this video, I'm not. It's the day before I'm traveling, but I actually made a slew of videos just so that you all could have some time to kind of stroll down memory lane of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I am a hardworking content creator, so I would love for you to subscribe. All right, so with that being said, let's jump right on in. So I want to just pretty much not really paint the picture, but let Miss Van and Melody paint the picture during their heart-to-heart, and then I will come back with my commentary. Of course, the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary of these sound bites are allowed. All right, so let's jump right on in.
Kids for a little while. Yeah, I really wasn't checking for going on this trip. I had to be kind of convinced.
Well, it should be fun, though.
You know, Martell doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be sleeping in his own room. He's not sleeping with me, you know. He has to have his own room.
So he has his own room at the cabin?
Well, that's what he's going to be having.
Okay, are you kids through eating?
Yeah.
Maybe you need to send them to the playroom or something for this conversation.
Okay, get Malia out and y'all go upstairs and play.
Why would you like to sleep in separate rooms?
Well, you know, we sleep in separate rooms now at home, too. He sleeps upstairs and I sleep downstairs.
Okay, well, it's just a curveball for me. I'm surprised you didn't tell me any of this.
Yeah, no. I mean, we were headed to Atlanta, and while we were driving, his phone rang. So I answered the phone, and this girl is on the phone.
So you're saying the girl as in the girl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right now, Mama is teed off for her to still be calling his phone. Either she needs to be checked or he needs to be checked.
I'm still, like, bothered. So I put him upstairs. You know, this trip, I'm going, you know, but that doesn't change our sleeping arrangements, you know? I really feel that Martell feels that this cabin trip is going to bring us closer together by reminding us of all the great memories and times that we've had in Gatlinburg. I do have something to tell Martell while we are away from the kids, but this trip is not going to stop anything going on in our marriage.
You've done a really good job not letting me know what was going on.
You know, it's kind of because I had so much still that I was filtering out in my own mind, you know? I do carefully choose what I decide to share with my mom. I want to let her know that everything is not peaches and cream, and I also don't want her stressed every day. So yeah, I think it's important for me as her daughter to at least let her know some of what's going on.
Even though you say he's sleeping upstairs, he's still in the house, so I guess that means there's hope.
Yeah, he's upstairs.
But he's still in the house.
Upstairs. Yeah, upstairs.
Okay, so as you heard in that soundbite, Melody is opening up the conversation with telling her mom that she really did not want to go on this couple's trip. And Miss Van, not knowing the current state of their marriage at that time, she said, oh, it should be fun. You know, Miss Van, she was being her positive, optimistic self. And I just want to say that Melody never looked like anything she'd been going through. I just feel like she's so beautiful in this scene, just glowing, you know, very, very glowy and beautiful. And Melody explained, you know, the girl coleslaw calling during a trip to Atlanta after about 5 months, allegedly, of them not communicating. Coleslaw called back. And so, you know, Melody did not like that, of course. That's dishonest, disrespectful, and opens up the door for cheating in the physical sense. And I feel like there's different levels to cheating: emotional cheating, physical cheating, which if it produces a baby, now you're tapping into my pockets, my finances. That's a level of cheating as well. Now, Miss Van, she pointed out to Melody that Melody did a good job, you know, of not telling her that recent development at that time, of course, in the marriage. And Melody explained in her confessional that, you know, or actually in front of her mom, she said that she had to filter her own thoughts. And I could definitely relate to that. You know, I definitely felt this. This is why I journal all the time, because it helps to get my thoughts out of my head and onto paper. You know, I still make like pros and cons list on things, you know, and it just kind of helps me to see that you don't have to worry so much about something. It's not really that big of a deal. Sometimes I tend to think catastrophically. That's what a therapist told me, meaning like, you know, you think the absolute worst, almost going overboard, just assuming that something horrible will happen, thinking catastrophically. So when I journal and I write things out, it helps me to see that it's not that big of a deal. It's more minor than how I was thinking it. So when I get it out of my head and onto paper, I kind of see it for what it truly is. So I definitely understood. And then Melody said in her confessional that she also, you know, didn't always tell her mom everything, or she was careful about when she did, because she did not want her mom stressing out. So that was quite admirable, for even while Melody was going through, thanks to Martell, that she was still thinking of others. You know, she had that strength to still do that. So that is definitely amazing. So you all let me know your thoughts about when it comes to maybe not telling family members and friends all of the details about your relationships. You know, what are your thoughts on that? What is your normal routine, if you will? Now, certainly if someone is in danger or unsafe, of course, they definitely need to talk, right? So that people can help them. But, you know, in terms of things like cheating and arguments and not sleeping in the same rooms, what are your thoughts on that? All right, so in this next soundbite, we actually see Martell going to a therapy session with Dr. Francis. If you watched one of my videos from Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I talked about during this time, season 1, I felt like Martell, in my opinion, he was not totally sincere in going to therapy. I felt like he did that just to kind of win Melody's trust. You know, because he always assumes that people are simple-minded. I feel like Martell figured Melody would think, oh, he's going to therapy, therefore he's changed, and let me trust him again wholeheartedly. You know, in my opinion, it was just all a show. And everything said here, of course, is alleged and an opinion. But I want to talk about this soundbite during this therapy session. It actually covers, you know, at least a couple of different subjects that are very important to talk about. So I will go ahead and play this soundbite and then come back with my commentary.
Oh man, you know, Johnny down the corner got his dad. They you know, they pitch ball, they do all this kind of stuff. But my dad, I've never had this experience. You know, no. You never been there? You know, coming from a poverty-stricken area, you won't see dads in the community or dads being hands-on with their children. For me, being in a single-parent home and my dad being absent from my life, it allowed me to know how important it is to be in my son's life, even in Melody's life, every single day. You knew being absent was not a good example, right? Being a good father. Just because you are present in the home does not make you a good or an effective father. It sure doesn't. Right. Does not make you a good or an effective spouse. Right, I agree. Okay. Another thing that's coming up is we have taken a cabin trip to Gatlinburg. My wife and I, we're going along with 4 other couples. Okay. I can just imagine how we're going to have dialogue about what's your husband doing? How are you guys doing? it'll put us in a odd position. And then my wife, she doesn't hold anything back, so it's not gonna be any acting. But you know you don't grow if you act it out. Oh, okay. So you're willing to just go and be pretty transparent. Oh, very transparent, always. What do you and Melody want to leave the weekend with? I just want us to get along a lot better. You know, I want to make her smile genuinely. Is that an acknowledgement from you that something about you need to change? Yeah, something about me has to change. What do you think might be some of those things? I no longer need to lust after another woman. Okay. I mean, I'm committed to it all. To me, becoming a better person. I like that. Yeah. I like that. I was waiting for that. I'm committed to me. Yeah. Being a better person. You hit it. There is no guarantee that your wife will like the better person that you become, but you should not stop becoming a better person just because somebody else don't like it. My duty is now to look in the mirror and really analyze myself and to start making changes within. It's like trial and error for me. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so of course, as you heard in that soundbite, it opened up with Dr. Francis asking Martell about his childhood interactions with his dad. And Martell actually explained, I did not include it in the soundbite, but Martell talked about how his dad had gone to prison when he was around 1 or 2 years old. So as far back as any memories that he would have, his dad was already locked up. And that is sad and significant because literally Martell, he did not have a fatherly example. He had his uncle, and he did say in the confessional that, you know, he was close with his uncle, but it's still nothing like having a dad. And I think especially for people who grew up without a parent, that yearning for that parent just kind of really lingers on. I did grow up in a 2-parent household. My parents were married. My dad was very strict, very controlling, and he kind of felt like, you know, because he worked 2 jobs and paid the bills, he was the man of the house. And then, you know, you kind of have like limited rights, if you will, because you were like of a female gender, you know, just in my opinion. I have like messy cousins, I think, who watch my channel, so I could totally see them taking that back to my siblings. But that was just my experience. And Iyanla Van Zant would say, you can't say to someone how they experience a person as being incorrect, you know, that's their experience. But anyway, Martell, he did not have an example, so he was doing the best that he could. And Melody has always said that he's a great dad. And, you know, it sounds like he has been a much better dad than he was a husband. And I just kind of felt really bad because Martell said, you know, growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, you didn't see any dads. He was saying, like, it wasn't just me, Dr. Francis, like, didn't nobody have a dad around. And that's just something that I wish just was not the case, you know. And I kind of feel like in a unique situation because while it's lots of Black women who are not married, I'm definitely not alone in that sense, but I don't have any children either. So I don't have the single mom experience. So I still have empathy for single moms. You know, all my siblings are divorced. So my siblings are single parents. And so I feel like, you know, you're blessed if you were able to get an education and a decent job before you had the baby. But if the baby came and you were still a teenager or a young adult without any like skill set or education, then it's that much rougher in terms of having the money to meet all of the kids' needs. So when these men out here are raw dogging it, okay, and conceiving children that they're not helping to take care of, you're already putting them a step behind. And then they, you know, you weren't in their life. So you weren't there to give them knowledge, you know, like this is how you want to set up your insurance policy. You know, this is how much you pay into it monthly. But look, this is your deductible if you get into an accident. And this is what a deductible means. And, you know, you pay rent or you get a mortgage and then you have to show all these things. Like there's just absolutely no transferring of information when, you know, a person is growing up without a parent. And then it's just hard to set them up for success when they start out in life that way. So I just really hope that that continues to improve, you know, especially in our community. But also, when it comes to the second half of that soundbite with Martell letting Dr. Francis know that they were going on a couples trip, and he was saying that, you know, I know the other couples are going to ask us, how are we doing? And my wife doesn't hold back, so there won't be any acting. And Dr. Francis said, well, you know, you can't really grow when you're like putting on a show, right? And Martell's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And Dr. Francis said, so you're going to be transparent? And he's like, oh yeah, transparent always. Really, Martell? If you were transparent, the two sides of your brain, the left and the right, they wouldn't even cause you to fix your lips and say that there won't be any acting. Your mind wouldn't even go in that direction of acting if you're always transparent. So give me a break and miss me on that, okay? But again, I feel like he thinks he's always the smartest one in the room. And we all know that that is the most ridiculous thing, because there are children out there, his own, that would be smarter in the room, okay? But he literally had the nerve to say that. So my wife doesn't hold back, so I know there won't be any acting. You know, and why would you want to act, Martell? Why would you want to put on a show? That is the question that you would need to self-review. Is it because, you know, at that time you were ashamed of yourself for cheating? Or did you want to put on an act, meaning you wanted a wife who would fake it and continue to let you disrespect her? Or is it both? You know, but I just found that, you know, look, you know, hindsight is 20/20. And when you look back on the older seasons, there's just so much to pull out from it. And I want to hear from you all, you know, what do you think about Martell speaking about growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, like nobody had a dad, and then how that can just like start the person off in a struggle. I'm not saying, of course, like, because like I just said, my siblings were single parents. My nieces and nephews, they did graduate college and they have jobs, and one of them has 2 kids and she started having them in her early 30s. But remember, I'm a late baby, so I was in elementary school when my parents became grandparents. So that's how my nieces and nephews, they're not that much further behind from me. But yeah, so you can grow up in a single parent household and still graduate college and get a job and then have kids and be independent. I'm not saying that, but just about the beginning, you could start off possibly with the struggle and having to sort things all out on your own when you have that one less parent and that one less transferring of information. And then, you know, you also have to be careful about who you have children with, because as Dr. Francis pointed out in that soundbite, you know, having 2 parents in the household, that dad, that mom, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting the maximum from that parent. Just because they're in the house doesn't mean that they're automatically a good parent. And Martell agreed as well. And that makes sense as well, because you could grow up with 2 parents and at least one of them is abusive or a gaslighter, or they try to intimidate you or be very controlling, you know? So it just seems so tricky, isn't it? Life, it kind of can take your breath away. And I always feel bad, like when I used to watch Iyanla Fix My Life, it made me thankful, although I grew up in a very controlling household, it made me thankful that I did not experience other traumas. But, you know, we all end up having to overcome trauma and things that have happened, but it is certainly possible. And then when you meet therapists like Dr. Francis, you do get that hope. All right. And then, of course, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Martell saying, you know, my wife doesn't hold back, so there won't be any faking. You know, about him even putting his lips together to say that. Out of the heart, the mouth speaketh. You know what I'm saying? So what did you think about him even having that in his heart to say? Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that you all have had a lovely Christmas, and I will talk with you all soon. Please hit the like button, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.